Hello and welcome to More Than Footy, your official Sydney Swans podcast brought to you by Bingley. I'm your host, Tom Chadwick.
I'm Caitlin Swilari, and we've just come off a big trade period chatty. Exciting time bringing 3 new players to the club.
Yeah, of course, we brought in Jai Sarong, Malcolm Rosas Jr. and, of course, Charlie Curnow. But I guess the flip side of that is we had to say goodbye to 2 very popular and, I guess, much-loved personalities and players around the club in Will Hayward and Olive Florent, who we're going to miss, aren't we?
2 big golden retriever energy.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, one man who actually had no part in this year's trade period but certainly has had a long history of recruiting for the Sydney Swans is Kinnear Beatson. Ken, thanks for coming on.
Howdy, folks. My pleasure.
What did you make of your first sort of trade period when you had no involvement and you were just watching it from afar?
Stress-free. Didn't miss it one bit. Look, I felt for Chris and the team orchestrating those trades because they are difficult, and this is the first year really that we've had to make a call like that, because people probably forget when Bud came in, he was a free agent, so you don't have to trade, but to be able to get Charlie in, there's going to be a cost. List spots, TPP, that's total salary, etc., all those things. So it would have been very stressful for them coming down to the last couple of minutes. So, yeah, I felt for them it was tough. It's tough for everybody involved, to be honest.
Yeah, looking back, you started 1994 with the Lions.
Lions, yep.
How have things changed trade and draft-wise? No fax
dramatically.
machines?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I started in footy in 1988. This is how stupid it is. I coached the Victorian under-15 schoolboys, and Jason McCartney, who's now GM of footy at the Giants, was a 14-year-old in that team.
And now his son's 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Exactly, in our academy.
That's right.
And then I was lucky enough to get into full-time AFL football at Carlton in 1990. So I've seen it develop from the old metropolitan zones, where you had your under-19s, to now the national draft with academies, next generation academies, etc., etc. What's changed a lot is just the technologies, mainly, that's used to capture all the different information that we get and then being able to decipher it. Tom, you'd remember a couple of years ago that Andrew Ireland said to us all that if you couldn't get your mind around data, that you probably didn't have a role within the club, and data now certainly has a big impact on how recruiting occurs.
So Caitlin just mentioned then that, back in the day with fax machines, it was really interesting being in the room with our team in the last hour or two, and it was walking between the halls and on the phone. And back in the day, on the last week or the last day of the trade period, you didn't have mobile phones. Tell us about how things have evolved in that last few hours. What was it, landline? Was it running papers up the hallway? How did you talk to other clubs?
Yeah, look, it's quite funny. Just on the phone, but I've got this walking group on a Thursday morning that I call the Old Farts Group. And it's a group of guys that's been around AFL
You can join
footy.
soon, Chatty.
Oh, there we go.
It's a group of guys that's been around AFL football for a long time. So it's Ian Collins, Jeff Walsh, Kevin Sheehan, Shane O'Sullivan and myself. And we were talking about it the other day, about the trade period and how things would go through on faxes, all the documentation to the AFL, and how sometimes trades went a couple of hours beyond the closing time. And there'd be this debate about, well, we haven't received the fax yet, and people on the phone saying, well, is your fax turned on? Has it got paper in it? While clubs were just delaying.
Wrong number?
No, they were just delaying. Yeah, the wrong number. Just delaying, trying to get the paperwork signed before they could actually send it through. So it was hilarious in those days.
So did you watch that last hour and a bit when...
Bit of it.
And did it take you back to those days where it was quite frantic?
More how tense it can get. And we did see it, like some of the player managers becoming quite hostile, and then the various clubs, etc. What's become more evident is how accessible the media or the access media's got to the rooms, etc. That never occurred when I was doing the trades, etc. It's crept in the last couple of drafts, which is great for the viewers because they really get a feel for how tense these negotiations are. And if they were sitting there watching the Hawthorn Essendon Tommy Petroro thing play out, they would have got a real sense for what was going on.
Yeah, it was quite intense. I've never watched it before, but I was watching like nothing else.
Yeah.
But I think maybe back on your career, do you have a favourite trade, draft player?
I think the one that had the biggest impact for the club was 2009. We had a list management meeting and we put up a demographics sheet of our list, and we had a couple of big holes in the list, more so in the age groups of 22 to 25. So that was the year that we specifically targeted players in that draft and brought in Josh Kennedy, Benny McGlynn, Mumford, Mark Seaby into that group.
Ready-made, mature players.
Yeah, and then topped it off with that draft with some speed in Gary Rowan and Louis Jetta. 2 years down the track, or 3 years down the track, 2012 we win the premiership. But that was set up off the back of that trade. And there were a lot of people involved in that. I mean, people look at recruiting and think that it's one person. It's far from that. I mean, I sit here representing recruiting departments and list management teams that make these decisions. Rarely is it one person's decision. So that 2009 draft, we relied heavily on Georgie Stone's contact with the Kennedy family. My contacts with Anthony McConville, who was the manager of Mummy, etc. So there's multiple people involved a lot of the time.
So if that's your favourite year, do you have a favourite player that might have been a late pick, might have been a rookie that no one else really rated? All of a sudden you've taken him and he's turned into either a star or a really...
not so much a favourite. I mean, once you draft a player, to me they almost become like a son. So when Ollie and Will left the other day, it was pretty hard having drafted those guys. But that's the case with all of them. And you feel it when they don't make it, and you feel the pride when they do make it. For me, probably the ones as a department that I'm happiest with are the rookies. And if I went back to, say, the 2014 grand final, I think we had 8 rookies on the field.
Wow.
8. Now, that either means we've been terrible at the national draft or or our rookies have been super. And that's guys like Ramps, who's, 250 games or more now. Jakey Lloyd, who's coming up on 250. Then you've got blokes like Joel, Hayden McLean, Foxy, who played 100. Like, I think this percentage of players going on to play 100 games is something like 17% of all players that get an opportunity to play AFL footy.
And what would it be on rookies then? It'd be less than 5%.
Yeah,
it?
probably.
Have to be.
Yeah. So for us to have such a success rate with that, I mean, Paps is a rookie. So, yeah, I'd take great pride in that the recruiting department over the various years were able to identify those people, yeah.
Was there ever someone that got away that you wished you got?
All the time. You look at it. And sometimes, to be honest, the earlier the pick, the harder it is because there's more options. Caleb Sarong was one that I talked myself out of late in that draft. I won't go into the details of it. And Caleb was a Swans fan. We had him in the rooms at the MCG, not far off it. So you look back at that and you think, oh, what if? But, you've got to make decisions. That's what I laugh when I see these phantom drafts. And I love shifter Kevin Sheen, but his top 30's in alphabetical order. It'd be good to be able to run the draft like that. I will just take the next one in alphabetical order. So, yeah, that's the tough part. Yeah, when you've got the early picks.
So clearly one of the most famous acquisitions over the last 15 years was Lance Franklin. Tell us about how he came to the club.
Yeah, well, that was interesting because the year before we'd done the Tippett deal, and that was a saga in itself.
You got penalised and he got penalised.
Yeah.
And the Crows got penalised.
He got penalised. He wasn't able to play for, I think he got suspended
half the year.
Something like that. And then not long into that following year, Andrew and John made Dean Moore, who was GM of footy, and myself aware that Buddy wanted to come. And we're like, oh, okay, this is great, but how are we going to get this done? Just in terms of salary cap and stuff like that. So that came on the back of a conversation, I believe, with John Longmire, who was coach, and Bud's manager at the time, Liam Pickering, and then Andrew got involved in that, and they sort of led that there. But that was an enormously proud recruiting operation by the club to keep it silent, right through the year that no one knew until it became public. I thought that was extraordinary that a club could keep that information internal for so long. Yeah.
What did you make of the penalties that were imposed on the Swans after getting Bud with the stripping of cola and all that kind of stuff?
I'll go on record here that this is my opinion, not the club's.
Yep.
Disgraceful.
Well, we heard Liam Pickering.
Disgraceful.
Last
I mean, we
week say it
didn't
was one of
break
the
any
worst.
rules.
Yeah.
So, yeah, terrible, to be honest.
I want to know something. Pre-draft, chatting to potential players coming to the club, what is the strangest question you've been asked?
That I've asked? Or
Both.
that I've been
Both.
asked or I have
Yeah.
asked? It's an interesting question. Quite often we get asked, too often, what do you think I need to do to improve? And I always say, listen to your coaches. Because invariably a lot of these young players, they're playing for about 4 or 5 teams in 1 year. So they've got a lot of different opinions on how to play the game already in their heads. Mm-hmm. They don't need an old bloke of my age telling them how to play, in my opinion. So just listen to your coaches and try to be adaptable. Craziest question I've ever asked a kid, and sometimes at the draft combine.
This could be anything.
No, but it could be late at night, 8 o'clock, the kid's had 10 interviews, he's almost brain dead, they become quite repetitive. So to try to break it up quite often, I'll say to them, what's the stupidest thing you've ever done in your life? And this one kid said to us, probably borrowing my old man's ute and chasing the emus and running them into the fence.
No.
Can we name this young man?
No, but he was from New South Wales.
Is he currently on our list?
No.
Did you draft him?
No.
Okay, we won't name him.
No. I had a soft spot for emus, so I was never going to draft him. No, not really.
Just on those interviews with the players, just how you mentioned, okay, so if a prospective draftee has, 8 to 10 interviews in one day, how important are they to understand the psyche of the kid, given
it's crucial.
Their brain might be they might be fatigued or they haven't slept well the night before. You have a bad interview and you scrub them off your list. How important are they?
Well, they're not the only interviews we would have with them. So you've got to be mindful of keeping everything in context and being well aware of what is going on in their life. Are they struggling at school, trying to keep up for their Year 12 exams? Is something going on at home? Sometimes there's parents with a battle with cancer. A lot of stress in their lives, so you want to be prepared with that information going in. I remember when we went to interview Joel Amadi, his dad had just had a stroke.
Okay.
Fortunately, we knew that before we went in the room, so you're sort of armed with how hard you're going to press on questions. Yeah, so I think that's really important, that you know their background and you know where they're at that particular time, and if there's stuff that you need to follow up on in a more sensitive environment, then you'll do it afterwards. Yeah.
I've had a question come in from some colleagues about another Swans recruit that you had nothing to do with. Jonathan Manasso apparently organised a 98 sessions or monthly 98 sessions, and there's been one, I hear.
Yes. Yeah.
Who's dropped the ball there? Manasso?
Jonathan talks a great game plan. Unfortunately, he can't deliver on the game plan.
That sounds about right.
Is that enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I was in there last week. Jeez, it's a great setup.
It is.
Bob
Yeah, no,
Skilton
it's a
House
good office.
and the
really good
the back
office.
of the gym.
Yeah, yeah. And they've got quite a bit of traffic coming through, buying merchandise, etc. And that should improve opposite the market there in lovely Cecil Street.
So tell us about your role now. Clearly identifying talent you've got a huge passion for, and you've taken a role in the academy. Tell us about your new role.
Yeah, well, this all started to occur around COVID time, because it was as you can understand, I've been doing it full time. I resigned from teaching Queen's Birthday weekend 1990 to go full time into football, and it's pretty much an 11 month of the year job. And at COVID, we got stood down for a period of time, and it was really the first time for any extended period of time I got a chance to jump off the merry-go-round, if you like. And I started to think, gee whiz, there's a bit more to life, and I think I'll be okay if I'm not just 100% into work. So I started to have some discussions with Tom and Charlie at the time, and we came up with a succession plan with Chris Kane, who we'd put on, and he's an impressive young guy, as you've seen, and we'll just do some work with the Swans Academy in talent ID and just look at how they go about it and help where I can. But also something that I'm really passionate about is getting involved in establishing the Swans father and son daughter program, which we don't have one. And John's been on my case, John Longmire's been on my case for a number of years about it, and I've always maintained that it's not the role of the recruiters because it's very hard to be close enough to be encouraging everything but have enough distance to say, sorry, you're not good enough to go on the list. But where we're going to pitch this is in engagement at the start. And looking at the numbers already, like there's over 90 kids in this program. So I'm really excited about that, and speaking to the past players, they're excited about it too. So that will be something I can get my teeth into for a year or two, and then we'll just see where we're going from there.
Yeah, well, we're still lucky to have you involved, and our academy's going to get so much value from you being involved.
Thank you.
But, Chatty, is it time?
Let's do it. Okay, we wrap up every podcast with a bit of a quick fire questions.
Right.
So, and I'm a bit nervous about this one because you can be a bit rogue, Kinnear, which we've witnessed. But so
is that a bad thing?
No, not at all. So I'm
just checking.
So don't think too much when we ask you these questions. But
I don't think.
Quick fire, exactly right.
Just shoot.
Okay, who is your favourite ever Swans player?
Mark Bays.
Who is your favourite Swans employee?
Dean Moore.
Favourite non-Swans AFL team?
Don't have one.
Perfect. Favourite public holiday or holiday season?
Favourite public holiday would be Australia Day because we go to the Hanging Rock races.
Lovely.
In Victoria.
Favourite moment at the Swans in all your time here?
Oh, clearly the 2012 premiership, being in the race when the siren went with Dennis Pagan and old Kenny and those guys. Magical moment, yep.
Favourite meal to eat?
This might surprise you, but if I'm feeling a bit flat, just a chicken schnitzel with mashed potato and some broccoli.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Simple as that.
By yourself at the pub or at home?
No, at home.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah, you might have already answered this. Favourite footy memory? So it doesn't have to be at the Swans. What's your favourite footy memory?
I'd probably say 212, the premiership.
Yep.
Favourite holiday destination?
I loved Cambodia.
When did you go to Cambodia?
Girls were still at school. I can't remember. But it was just a fascinating place.
Yeah, tell us about that.
And the history of Cambodia when you go through it with the
Killing fields.
The killing field. The killing fields are shocking. So when you hear the stories of how they were treated and then you meet the people and they're so happy and they're so appreciative about everything that they have, you look at yourself and you go, my God, you're a spoilt.
Puts it into
and
perspective.
you whinge about this and that and you've got nothing to complain about. But also the buildings, like, what's it called? The big temple in, sorry, I've just forgotten it.
It's okay.
It's huge, like massive. There's a moat that runs around this temple. It goes for 3 miles and it would have to be at least 90 yards wide and it's something like 30 feet deep.
Wow.
And that was hand dug.
Jeez.
It's a crazy place, but yeah, I loved Cambodia.
Okay, finally, your favourite weekend activity?
Either spending time with my daughters or my mates, and that could be doing anything, just playing golf, fishing, simple stuff. I'm not into elaborate things. I just like hanging out with my mates and family, to be honest.
Ken, well, congratulations on a fantastic career in recruiting and everything you've done for the Swans, and good luck with the Academy. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ken.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Lee, and Bingley is proud to be a sponsor of the More Than Footy podcast. Before I get bounced by Dad, don't miss our weekly Binger deals on now at Bingley. Go the Swannies!
Good one, Jasmine.
Thanks, Nana.